Hi, and welcome to Trend Top. If you are an old subscriber, we are happy to see you again. For new visitors, please do subscribe to our channel and like our page if you are interested in our content. And now let's tackle why spam calls are at an all-time high. Spam calls are out of control. Billions of robocalls hit American cell phones every month. Our phones are ringing, and now more than before the coronavirus pandemic, it can be a robocall or scam. A February of 2021 insider survey conducted on SurveyMonkey audience found that 46% of Americans reported receiving spam phone calls on their cell phone every day, with another 24% receiving them multiple times per week. Spam calls impact everyone evenly. 80% of Democrats got spam robocalls at least weekly, as did 79% of Republicans. They impact men, women, old and young, rich and poor. Nobody is safe, nobody can escape from them, and for many, it seems nothing can stop them. How we got here is a result of an erosion of protections on three fronts. First is the technological, as advances have magnified fundamental flaws in the American phone system, enabling unrelenting robocalls from untraceable origins. The second is financial. Because of that, it's incredibly profitable to use spam calls to drive business, whether the caller is a scammer trying to bilk money out of the marks or an actual business using telemarketing to increase sales. Lastly is the legal situation, with a series of enormous court decisions, with one more on the way, so far paving the way for telemarketers to get away with blowing up your phone scot-free, with next to no legal recourse and underfunded enforcement just trying to keep the lid on. Further, special interests who prefer an unregulated robocall environment are enormously powerful compared to the pro-consumer groups. An insider analysis found that the federal lobbyists employed by pro-robocall businesses outnumbered the anti-robocall consumer groups' lobbyists by a factor of 100 to 1. This doesn't mean there aren't solutions, just that the approach to spam calls needs to change. The prevailing message is that this is not a problem that can be legislated away or turned off with a switch. Rather, consumers must treat the American telecom system like an infected computer network, taking matters into their own hands with software protections for their phones. Why do I keep getting spam calls? Experts credit the ascendance of spam calls to fundamental problems with caller ID, a phone system where anyone can operate as a carrier, the inability to detect bad callers, and a number of bad actors exploiting those flaws to drive billions of calls to American phones. Plus, spam calls make their perpetrators a killing. The standard operating procedure is more a sledgehammer than a scalpel. There are different kinds of robocall scams. Some are clearly illegal, such as calls that pretend to be the IRS or law enforcement, while others sell some kind of product like an auto warranty or an insurance policy that is illegal, of course, to the telemarket for the products. First, you have a company that wants to find buyers. They could be selling actual products like insurance policies or alarm systems, or they could be a scam operation looking for marks they can coerce into buying gift cards. The product doesn't really matter. What matters is they're willing to pay someone $6 or $7 per lead to send them people who may be interested in buying. The company they contract to find those leads is a robocaller, typically overseas. What they do is call millions of phone numbers with a pre-recorded message. Most hang up, but occasionally some listen. And those people are plugged through a phone tree until they're determined to be qualified to be a lead, which is then sold to the original company. The robocaller can place their calls through a gateway carrier, which is a telecommunications company willing to place those calls to American phones. The gateway carrier may not always know that they're laundering scam calls into the US telecom systems, but they're often targets of FTC enforcement. They work, said Aaron Foss, founder of Nomorobo, a company that blocks spam calls. The response rates are abysmal, 0.1% response rate. But the risk of getting caught is so low, and the rewards are so high. The economics of phone scam is incredibly favorable. For perspective, 125,000 minutes of robocalls from Message Communications Inc., which sustained a $25,000 penalty in 2015 for what the FTC described as willful, repeated violations, has sold for a mere $875. Assuming a consumer listens to the call for an average of 3 seconds, that $875 would translate into 2.5 million calls, with 1 cent getting a buyer 28 spam calls. Even if just 1 out of every 10,000 calls turns into a qualified lead at a going rate of $7 per lead, an hour of robocalls will pull in $1,750 in revenue. Every person who buys from a telemarketer can facilitate hundreds of thousands of calls, according to an FTC spokesperson. While many calls may eventually sell an actual product, plenty is simply scams targeting the elderly or infirm, spam calls that are functionally elaborate elder abuse operations attempting to bilk seniors out of money. The top scams of any given time are a reflection of anxieties. Auto warranty scams are big today and were last highly popular during the heights of the Great Recession when economic anxiety roiled the country. The calls often originate overseas, where the FTC lacks jurisdiction. The do not call list doesn't work for robocalls on your cell phone. It just prevents live telemarketers from calling you. Even if it did work, the robocallers are already flaunting the law, and there's little reason they'd respect the registry. They're able to thrive on the US phone system because of a fundamental flaw in the structure of the grid. Caller ID was never verified, Foss said. In the 1980s, when caller ID was first implemented, there was only one phone company, AT&T. And as they were able to verify customers, caller ID was implemented the same way that a return address on an envelope was, where a person could put anything. Then AT&T was broken up, and deregulation meant anyone could become a carrier, and the FCC laws that effectively protect the privacy of you as a phone user are equally capable of protecting bad actors as well. So why don't the carriers just stop them? Carriers don't shut down unless it's absolutely positively proven to be illegal, said Alex Quilici, the CEO of Umail. Carriers want to move calls around, not actively regulate the calls. The reasoning is clear. If a debt collector robocalls someone, while the recipient may consider that a nuisance, it's absolutely legal. There is a liability component, Quilici said. A pharmacy may contact a patient about their COVID-19 vaccine appointment with an automated call, and if a carrier blocks that, there would be hell to pay. Carriers avoid interfering in gray areas and will only block a gateway carrier or caller when given ample grounding to do so. In February of 2018, Umail estimated there were 2.75 billion spam calls. That same month, the Supreme Court declined to review the Spokio case. The legal risk for telemarketers would remain nil. By March of 2021, the number of monthly robocalls was up to 3.16 billion, then 4.06 billion by May, 4.41 billion by September, and rising 5.11 billion by October. Our best guess is the scammers realized they could scale, Quilici said. Over the course of 2018, more gateway carriers launched. Tips on how to stop phone scams. Don't answer phone calls from unknown phone numbers, especially those that call at odd hours. If you do answer, do not interact with the scammer. Just hang up. Yeah, just like that. Interacting, even if it is just to mess with them, will likely trigger more calls to your number. Go to fcc.gov/complaint, the Consumer Complaint Center, and click the phone link to file a formal complaint. Never provide personal, banking, or sensitive information over the phone to any caller. Remember that when it comes to our cell phones, it's not just the calls that are used in scam attempts. Scam texts are a problem too. Don't click on links you don't recognize, and if you never entered a contest, it's unlikely you have won anything or need to claim a prize. Download a spam call and text blocker like RoboKiller to equip your phone with the latest phone scam fighting technology. Apps like RoboKiller use global databases of millions of known phone scams to prevent these callers from reaching you in the first place. In 2020, RoboKiller won a Webby Award for Technical Achievement, Media Excellence Award for Best Mobile Product, and Best in Biz Awards for App of the Year, Most Innovative Product of the Year, and Consumer Product of the Year. Be extra vigilant about coronavirus scams. The global pandemic has led to a new class of scams surrounding relief checks. The Federal Trade Commission stresses that the IRS won't call, email, or text you with information about your stimulus payment. You don't have to front any money to get your stimulus, and if someone calls and says you were paid too much and need to send some back, hang up immediately. Report coronavirus-related scams to the FTC at ftc.gov/complaint. Thanks for watching our video, and we hope to see you in one of our next videos. But before you leave, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you are interested in other similar contents.